Welcome to another episode of moTV. I am so excited about this show today because we've got someone who is well, first of all, I would have to say someone who I consider a really good friend. He's also got an incredible story, which you are going to hear. He's a musician, Juno Award winning musician. I didn't even know. Guy's so humble. I just found that out 5 minutes ago. He's so cool. So touring, working, successful musician who went from that to now someone who is a successful speaker, meditation coach, mindfulness expert, and you're going to hear that story shortly. So stick around. I got my tea because it's still early afternoon for me, but you get whatever you want that makes you happy. If it's the evening or whatever, you go grab a drink, you grab a water, you grab your juice. If it's in the morning or whenever you like it. We'll see you right back here in a few seconds with Keith Macpherson. Mr. Mcpherson, welcome to moTV.
Thanks, Michelle. It's so good to see you. I'm giving you a virtual hug.
Oh,
Good
yes.
to see
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah.
So it was so hard in the little intro that I gave for you, not to give away your story. I think I really want to get to that. But first of all, I just want to tell everybody that if you're watching this, you are in for a treat because this guy, Keith, he stayed at my house. He when I was in Winnipeg, he took me around looking for guitars. Remember that?
I remember that. You were on the prowl for the right guitar. And so we
Yeah,
spent an afternoon at Long McQuaid. I remember
that's
that.
right. We had a good time that day, and actually, we were because was it that night or the night before? We were on the Mo Monday stage together.
That's right. That was the night before that was the first night we met.
Yeah,
And then you told me you were interested in buying a guitar, and we went crazy on guitar shopping
we
the
did.
next day.
We had a good time. Anyway, they don't want to hear about that. If you're watching this, please put some comments in the comment box. You may be watching this on Facebook Live. You may be watching this on the Mo Mondays website. If you go to momondays.com/mo slash, that's a mouthful, slash mo shows, you'll see it there, although you won't be able to put in your comments there. And you'll be able to watch the replay of this. We will upload it to our YouTube channel. So that's it. So Keith, take us back. The
Yeah.
title of this show is From to Ohm.
I love the title of the show. I'll take you all the way. I'm curious how far back we go.
Well,
It's
something I even forgot to tell people in the intro is that you were a finalist in uh, Canadian Idol.
yes, I was. That's correct. Yeah,
That
I'll take you back even before then. I'd been playing in a band called Keith and Renee for as long as I can remember. I started it right out of high school when I was pretty convinced that I wanted to be a rock star musician for the rest of my life. And Renee and I started this band. We were very naive at the time. And we started basically traveling all over Canada. We bought a van and we started traveling all over Canada. And this was actually pre-internet, if you can believe it. So
yeah,
we,
Keith, I can believe it.
we
You don't look that old, but I remember those days.
Yeah, well, it was interesting. I remember going to the library, and I live in Winnipeg, and I remember going to the library and looking up the yellow pages for Toronto, trying to find venues that Renee and I could play at. And we ended up booking ourselves a tour out to Toronto, and we drove through Eastern Canada, through all these small towns, and it was all booked through the yellow pages. It was crazy. There was no Google or anything. And so we played the tour, and what we came away realizing was this was going to be a long climb to the top of what we were dreaming about. We ended up playing almost every venue for the average of 2 to 3 people a night.
Yeah,
Many times we were just playing for the bartender or the custodian that was
yeah.
mopping up the floors. It was tough going. And
Like
but we were very
I think that's what they call paying your dues.
That was literally paying our dues at the time. Yes. And we just had our sights set. We wanted to be, on the big stages and just really have that hit song on the radio. We were so driven to make it in the music industry. And it was right before the whole industry kind of collapsed, honestly. So we were really, really keen on it. And one thing led to the next. We had some incredible experiences. We got to travel and tour with Jan Arden, which was amazing, and
Wow.
opened some shows for her in Western
Oh,
Canada.
tell me what that was like.
It was incredible.
I'm a Jan Arden fan, so I really, yeah.
Yeah, she was just something. Touring with Jan Arden, if you're familiar with her, she is the real deal. What you see on camera is who she is behind the camera as
Yeah, that's
well.
the sense I get. Yeah.
Yeah, she's just a real heartfelt lady, and she really looked after us on the road. I remember in Calgary, we had one of the worst reviews of our life by this guy named Mike Bell. He totally tore Keith and Renee apart. He said we were like the Donnie and Marie show, and just this terrible,
Well,
terrible
Donnie and
review.
Marie, listen, you may not like their music, but they got their fans. They did
Well,
okay.
I totally agree, Michelle. So, anyways, long story short, we're backstage before the next show, and Jan came into our dressing room and she was like, "Do not give that guy any credentials. Don't worry about it. You guys are awesome. Don't let that get you down." And she went so far as to call Mike Bell at the Calgary Herald or whatever it's called, and just reamed him out for that review. And she was like, "This is just no way that any artist should start their career." And he gave me a hard time too when I was starting out. And anyway, she was just absolutely incredible to us. And I can't say enough about Jan Arden, and just one of the funniest ladies I know.
You were saying that you were on tour. CD sales had just plummeted because it was back in those days where iTunes was just getting launched,
Correct. Yes.
And you're wondering how you were going to make ends meet. I think you said you called your mom and you said, "I think this is the hardest business career."
Totally.
Yeah.
I said, "Mom, this is, and I'm about to go on tour, and I'm feeling very depressed because we don't even know if we're going to make ends meet on this tour." And my mom, the wise woman that she is, she gave me an audio CD by an author named Dr. Wayne Dyer. And she said, "Here, take this and put this CD on in your rental car as you're touring, and just listen to it. It might inspire you." So I did. I brought Wayne Dyer with me in my rental car. And I remember putting on Wayne Dyer's CD. And just to preface, this tour was tough. There was barely anybody showing up to any of our shows. We weren't selling CDs. We were barely making ends meet. And Wayne's voice came on. And I remember him talking about this concept of when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. I'm going to say it again because it's so powerful.
It's a beautiful quote.
When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And he went on to talk about this idea of manifesting and the power of positive thinking. And, you'll see it when you believe it. All these positive quotes. And so I thought, well, I'm going to give this a shot. So there I am on the eastern seaboard of the United States touring. And the first few shows were as I expected, not a lot of people coming out, barely selling CDs. And then Wayne, his advice kept ringing around in my head. And so I started kind of shifting my perspective on that tour, and he said, go to gratitude. So I started just kind of finding the small things to be grateful for on the tour. I'm so grateful that I get to sing with Renee. I love the way we sing together. I'm so grateful that we get to see these new places that we're touring to and meeting, even if it's one or two people. And what I found is by the end of that tour, we actually had sold more CDs than we had in the previous two tours. There was more people coming to the shows. It was honestly, it was like magic was taking place. And I attributed it to this concepts and the thoughts of Wayne Dyer. So something shifted around then. I remember before that point that the words as in the title of this talk, this idea of where exactly am I going in my life and why am I doing this? To this place of shifting into this space of, as the yogis would say, Om. And I think Wayne Dyer for me was a real catalyst. If you're unfamiliar with Wayne's work, he's incredible. He's written over 40 books. They call him the father of motivation. I actually was fortunate enough to study with him as well while he was alive. He's now passed on. He lives in Maui, Hawaii, or he lived in Maui, Hawaii. And I got to travel to Hawaii just after the transition out of music, my sort of formal transition out of formally trying to be a rock star. There were so many little pieces that happened in the middle. that moved me from to Ohm. Two of them in particular were definitely Wayne Dyer. And the second was my time on Canadian Idol. And you'd mentioned at the beginning of this, Michelle, my journey in Canadian Idol. I was a finalist on that TV show. And what was so interesting being on Canadian Idol was it felt like a peak experience for me in that I got to sing in front of 2 million Canadians every week. And it was almost like, wow, this is what I've been working for my whole career, is to be in that sort of rock star status at the time. And I came away from Canadian Idol realizing that so much of it was just completely, I don't know if the word fake is the right word, but it was just so commercialized. It was so not real. In fact, I felt like I was wearing more masks while I was on that show than before, because the cameras are always rolling. And, you know, when a camera's on us, we tend to behave differently. It plays into this whole insecurity of like, I want to be liked. I want to be seen. I want to look like I've got it all together. And so when that show ended, something shifted in my trajectory as well. I didn't want to actually pursue rock star status the way I had been. It felt like there was something missing. It felt like there was something that needed some depth to it or something. So I started getting into yoga. And I had a couple friends that were hot yoga teachers at the time. Now, they were hot, like they were beautiful. But then
I'm glad you said that. I'm just formulating in my head. It's like, okay, this begs for a comment, but I need to make sure it's appropriate. I'm glad you did it.
It's okay. Well, let's just name it. They were beautiful, beautiful people. And they were yoga teachers, and they invited me to come to a hot yoga class where you're practicing in a room that's heated to 40 degrees. And I remember, with all that I'd been going through, trying to figure out where the heck I was going in my life. You know, I just come off Canadian Idol. The touring with Keith and Renee was challenging. And I remember being in this hot yoga room and sweating like crazy. Like, it was almost like all these layers of trying and forcing my way through life were just shedding off of me in the sweat pouring down on my mat. And I came out of my first class, my first yoga class, and I just felt this peace that I hadn't felt, I don't think, since I was a kid. It was like just this serenity, this feeling of I can breathe again. And I knew that something was shifting in that moment. I knew there was more. And that really kick-started my quest into the second part of what this talk is called, Ohm. I went from this, what am I doing with my life, to Ohm. And I've come to find the word Ohm is actually, if you chant the word Ohm, like Ohm, and you really be with it, it actually is what they call the sound of the universe, the sound of everything connected. And coming out of that yoga class, I really felt that sense of everything is connected. There's something so much more powerful than my egoic self that's been traveling on this planet. So cut tape a little bit further. I came out of yoga. I got really addicted to going to yoga every day. It just was a game changer for me, to the point where I became a yoga instructor. And I started teaching yoga classes at a place called Moksha Yoga at the time. And I loved it because I was able to incorporate my love of sharing and performing, but it was more from a genuine place versus a trying to be somebody rock star status place. I also was able to bring my guitar in and play music in the yoga room, which was amazing. And so all this is taking place where I'm still in this place of performing, but just in a more deep way, where I'm helping people go inward and connect with who they really are. It was game changing for me. So I teach yoga for about 5 years, and somebody comes up to me at the end of a yoga class and says, I'm just curious if you teach mindfulness. There's a group of teachers in my community that are looking for a presenter on this topic, mindfulness, and they're having a PD day, and they'd love for you to be the presenter. So me being a yes person, I said, yes, of course I'll do that. Not really knowing what the heck mindfulness was all about. And I'd heard the word before, and I mean, it gets referenced in yoga circles all the time. But I said yes, and I ended up in this room with a bunch of teachers, not really knowing what mindfulness was about. And I led a PD all around the topic of mindfulness. This is how the PD day went. I basically said, so what does mindfulness mean to you? And we just went around and everybody started
all the
sharing.
while they don't know that you're actually honestly asking the question.
Yeah, like everybody thought I was the expert.
What does it mean to you?
No idea what I was doing.
All right, well, wait a minute. Let's skip ahead a little bit. Can you hold up your book?
Oh,
I
absolutely.
know
Yeah,
you've got it. You must have it right next to you.
sure
So
it is.
you went from not knowing anything about mindfulness to becoming an expert, an author, and your book is called Making Sense of Mindfulness. I've got one. Barbara, my wife, has read it as well, and she has, thumbed certain pages of it, and now you talk about it. You're a success. Well, not public live during the shutdown, but you speak. You talk about it. You're a professional speaker about it, and you combine your music and yeah.
Correct. Yeah. And so it's been quite a journey from the to yeah, as you say, now I went from this PD where I knew nothing about mindfulness, and it kickstarted my journey to figure out what the heck does this word mindfulness mean. And cut tape several years later, I find myself literally by hand writing a book on the topic. And I've just come to find this practice is just so foundational in my life. It's timely to be practicing and leading mindfulness sessions because, as we know, we're living in such a challenging time right now with the pandemic and the world changing. And what I love about mindfulness is it's the invitation to come back to the present moment when our mind spins out of control, worrying about all the things there are to worry about. How do we bring ourselves back into this present moment and connect back to who we really are in this moment? When you're present in the moment, there is no fear. And I've come to find that that's really true. When you really bring yourself back to the here and now, you're no longer worrying about all the things there are to worry about. Or if you are, you're consciously choosing to worry versus it just running on automatic. It's a practice, so it's not about getting perfectly here in the moment. And there are times where you need to be not present in the moment. You got to be thinking about, like Michelle, I hear that the heat at your house isn't working right now. You've got to worry about how you're going to get the heat on, right?
Yeah, it's all right. I've got my suit on, so it's
Exactly.
all right. Listen,
You...
tell you what, I have a video racked up of you, and it's a music video, because I don't want anyone to leave this show thinking, he was a musician a long time ago, he doesn't do it anymore, and he probably wasn't that. Let me tell you, this guy is amazing. Let me play this music video. I love this. And then I want to hear the backstory for this video when we come back. You good?
I'm good.
All right.
We've had a time, all of this living. We traveled the world, but something is missing. I don't know why I'm crying. I don't know if I should let you go. Life is a ride, and every day is a changing tide. I've got to decide if we should try to let this die. Not my intention to break your heart. Will I be forgiven? I don't know why things happen the way that they do, but here we are. And life is a ride, and every day is a changing tide. I've got to decide if we should try to let this die. It's really weighing on me. I I've gotta let you go.
Beautiful song, beautiful guitar playing, and what a gorgeous video. Where was that shot? One of the people watching this on Facebook Live said, "Hey, it looks like you're in a drug lab or something."
Wow. Yeah, that was shot at the old water filter station in downtown Winnipeg that's now closed down, and my friend just had access to shooting there, so we went in and filmed the video there. He had the whole concept worked out for how he thought it should look. So it was not a drug lab. It was an old water filter station.
The quality of the light is just beautiful in that video.
Yeah, thank you. It turned out really well. I love the way it was shot. My friend Dave shot that video, and he's got a real artistic eye for capturing lighting.
So what's the name of that song?
That song is called Forgiven.
Forgiven. And where can people hear it if they want to hear it, download it, stream it?
Yeah, that whole album actually is it's available on everywhere where music's available. So Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube, you name it, you can find it online anywhere.
And if people just type in Keith Macpherson, will they get confused with 20 other musicians?
I don't think so. I mean, my uncle Keith is a musician as well, but he doesn't have any albums out. So pretty sure you'll find me there. And the album is called Shine. It's my only solo album. I did that a couple years ago as just sort of a fun project to get really vulnerable and truthful. You know, in the time when I was with Keith and Renee, we were making albums that were really going for like country hit radio. So everything was very copied and pasted. I actually loved it, but I wanted to make a record that was really raw, that just didn't have all the like bells and whistles on it. And so the album's Shine. If you're looking for a very heartfelt, vulnerable record, it's my only solo effort to date.
Well, and, I know I've heard a few songs from that album, because that was the album you were promoting when you did a house concert at my house.
That is correct. That was a lot of fun, by the way, at your house concert. That was a great night.
Yeah, it was great. I still get comments from it. But, you know, those were the days. No, when we're back up and running, I want you back.
Oh, I'd love to come back. That was a great night. Everybody was singing along. We had some guests come up and play. I'm missing the live events, Michelle. It's challenging in these times to not be able to interact and be with each other physically. And
it is, and yet at the same time, and this sounds, maybe we should bring up that quote again, when you change the way you see,
look at things,
because I mean, this is absolutely truthful. Yes, beyond the shadow of a doubt, I'm missing the live interaction in a lot of things.
Yeah.
And notice I use the word and like there are some opportunities that we're doing, and I know a lot of people are zoomed out and all that stuff, but you know, I'm doing stuff virtually that I never would have pushed myself to do. And moTV is one of them. So I am thrilled beyond belief that we're doing this. I'm thrilled to be talking to you. I'm thrilled to be introducing you to a whole bunch of people who may not know you, because they should, and they can hire you as a mindfulness coach. You do virtual talks on mindfulness and concerts?
I do. Absolutely. The concerts are free. I just every so often do concerts on Facebook for fun right now. Yeah. I think music is such a powerful way to lift our spirits during this time. So it's, just something I love to offer up as well.
And one thing I want to say is that, so right after we finish this live stream, we're having a backstage chat with people in the Mo community, community.momondays.com, where people could ask you, and really thank you for doing this. And if you're not in that, and I encourage you to take a look at that, you can look at that at community.momondays.com. But you can also post your questions right now if you're watching this on Facebook Live, and we'll do our best to answer them.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You know, that's such a powerful story. I think everybody watching and listening to you, Keith, can relate in some way, because we all go, I think most of us, I think all of us go through, you know, we're going for something, and what we thought we were going for is not what we really want when we have it or close to it. And then there's a shift in awareness and desire and what our goals. And so from that respect, your story is a universal story.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Well, it's nice to know I'm not alone in that story. I agree. It's, you know, I'm thinking of my grandpa right now, who's passed on the other side. And he used to have a saying. He said, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans.
Yeah. Believe it or not, that's actually an old Jewish proverb.
Man
makes plans, God laughs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we set out to do one thing, and stuff happens, and we end up places we didn't even think we would be. And in some ways, you know, there's an old saying in Hawaii, "Ika pono mea."
Oh yeah, I've heard you say that.
Yeah, and it's loosely translated. Ika pono mea was an ancient greeting in Hawaii. People would greet each other and say "Ika pono mea," which means everything is happening perfectly on time. Our greeting was, I'm meeting you perfectly on time. And this perspective of seeing things that way, like trusting that whatever's taking place in our life is happening perfectly on time. I just love that mindset, because then it opens us up to more possibility than getting so focused in, like it can only go this way. I think that's when we really move into a space of frustration, is when we're controlling or trying to hold on to the outcome. And we all do it. I mean, I know I'm so guilty of that. that just even last week that happened to me. And how do I shift out of that space into trusting that everything's on time? Ika pono mea. That's really a practice.
Mea. I have a question about, you know, obviously at Mo Mondays, we're all about storytelling, not just to influence. I mean, we classically think about storytelling and communication techniques to impact others. However, I believe that story is a self-awareness tool. And I'm curious, right? We understand our own lives and our own trajectory through the stories that we tell ourselves.
Absolutely.
And I'm curious, the story that you relayed earlier, you know, your journey about Canadian Idol, the touring, the CD sales, you know, the motivational tapes. Were they tapes? No.
Yeah, they were CDs.
CDs that you were listening to. So you're not that old.
Oh, thank you.
I am. I remember.
I was around during cassette tapes, just to say.
All right. You don't look it, but anyway. Was the awareness of that story, or when you became, I'm trying to phrase this properly, when you became aware of your own story, did it help you along your own journey? That's the question.
Oh, absolutely. I think telling our story and finding the moments where the pivotal shifts were happening, it's therapeutic to do that. I'm a big believer in journaling, writing down our story, like actually writing it down and then reading it back and then telling it, because I think that the art of that and the practice of that is really healing. It's really healing, and it's total therapy. So I think there's some real power in what you're saying there. Absolutely.
Well, you are a great storyteller. In the time that we have left, because we're going to end this in a few minutes, but in the time we have left, I'd like to share another video.
Okay.
Actually, if you're watching this and you're commenting on, let me know if you want to see another music video after this. But I want to show this. This is a video of you sharing a story. Where were you? At some government function?
Yeah, I was doing a talk at a government house in Winnipeg for Lieutenant Governor Janice Fillman had me out to speak about my book, Making Sense of Mindfulness.
Well, here it is.
All right.
I actually discovered mindfulness when I think all the way back. This started for me in grade 7. I was actually failing French class. Can anybody relate to this one? 2 people. We're in the same club. And I went to my teacher in tears. I said, is there anything that I can do to get my grade up in French? And my teacher was kind enough to give me an extra assignment in French. So I went home that night, and I had been practicing guitar. My mom had this guitar that would just kind of lay around the house, so I'd pick it up, and that particular night I started practicing this old Bob Dylan song, Blowing in the Wind. And all of a sudden while I was practicing it, I realized that I could actually translate this song into French, into Souffle dans le vent, I think is the translation. And it's going to date me, but record the song on a cassette tape. Do you remember those? And hand this in as my extra project in French, so I did. And to my surprise, I got the grade back, and I got an A+ on the assignment, which got my overall grade in French up to a D-. And my teacher came back to me and said, do you want to sing this song in front of the school? And I don't know about you guys, but for me in grade 7, the last thing I wanted to do was get up in front of all my peers and sing. I mean, my voice was cracking, I had an awkward crush on Stephanie Johnson. I didn't want to do this, but something came over me to say yes. I think I was just kind of deer in the headlights. So the next thing I knew, I was in the school gymnasium. And ironically tonight, Mr. Burns, the principal at the time, who's here tonight, he just showed up tonight. I invited him. Mr. Burns and I go way back. So Mr. Burns gets up to announce that I'll be singing this song, and I'm at the side of the stage in the gym, and all of a sudden I just feel my heart pounding in my chest, much like I did tonight when you got up, Janet. And then all of a sudden my breath started shrinking, and most notably this voice came up in my head, and only I could hear it. It was just yelling at me, run for the hills. This is such a bad idea. And despite all that, somehow I walked to the center of the gym, and I started playing my song Souffle dans le vent. And I looked out, and my worst nightmare started coming true. I looked out, Stephanie was laughing with Maria, the whole row of students started laughing. And in my head, that voice got louder, saying, you are going to be like laughed at the rest of your life. Like, this is so bad. And as that's all happening, all of a sudden, there was this quick little whisper. It was like a little spark. And it reminded me, it was like, you just learned the chords to the Fred Penner song, The Cat Came Back. Play that one, it's going to go way better. So I, on a whim, just thought, well, this is my last resort, literally. So I picked up the guitar and I started playing The Cat Came Back. And to my surprise, the whole school, what went from chaos turned into this big sing-along. And the whole school started singing along with me. And I remember looking out and seeing this and just thinking, this is so powerful. Like, a chill was running down my spine. Because, did you ever notice when a good song comes on, and we're all singing, there's something that's connecting us together that's not on the surface of what the Hawaiians might call pilikia, drama, drama, sticky troubles. It's like all these things that we get so caught up in our heads about. The moment that music comes on and we start singing, we realize that there's something inherently connecting us together. And for me, this has become really the foundation of a mindfulness practice. My whole life has been about connecting through music. And so a lot of the beginning of this, in the foundation of this book, is all about how all things are connected when we're paying attention in the present moment.
There's a good thing starting right here, darling. You with a picture of you in my head. You look so happy, you're smiling at me. Something inside is starting to spread. Love on, every day I'm gonna love on you. Love on, all of the ways I'm gonna love on you. For a lifetime, this is the right time. I'm gonna love on you without condition. no inhibitions. I'm gonna show you from my heart that you're more than perfect and you deserve it. I'm gonna love you the way that you are. Love on, every day I'm gonna love on you. Love on, all of the ways I'm gonna love on you for a lifetime. And this is the right time. I'm gonna love on you, tell you the truth, all we gotta do is get in love on. Love on, every day I'm gonna love on you. Love on, all of the ways I'm gonna love on you. Love on, every day I'm gonna love on you. Love on.
Listen, somebody just asked, where can I hear and see more of Keith Macpherson on Facebook or wherever else you have? Do you have a Facebook page or something for your music?
I do, yeah. It's all under, well, the Facebook page, the handle is Keith M, my middle initial, Keith M Mcpherson, and my Instagram handle is Keith M Mac, Keith M MAC. I put out a positive quote on there every day. I try to put some music up when I can. Lots of offerings, and my website is keithmcpherson.ca as well. So happy to share and stay
You just need to remember the .ca part, right?
That's right, like Canada.ca.
Yeah,
that's right.
Okay, cool. Yeah, beautiful music. And that song that you're playing, Love On, that's also from Shine?
It is. Yep, that's another track on the album Shine. That's right.
Tell me the short version of the backstory of that song.
Oh, okay. I'll bottom line it. I have a friend named Dave, one of the most positive guys I know. Pretty convinced his blood type is B positive. Bad dad joke. I'm not a dad. I call Dave up regularly when I'm needing a little kind of joy in my life. He's just one of those people that picks me up, makes me feel great. I was talking to him and I said, "What are you doing this weekend?" He said, "We're going to love on my uncle." I said, "What does that mean?" He said, "Well, we go and we celebrate people in our family when, you know, it's a birthday or they've done something great. We go and we love on them." And I got off the phone with him and I was like super inspired by that concept. Picked up my guitar, had this little kind of Jack Johnson vibe going, and the rest is history. That song just came out and wrote itself.
Great song. Listen, Keith, in the time that we have left, what would you want people to know? What would you want people to walk away with from this episode of moTV?
Wow. The first thing that comes into my mind is to remember that you are already enough. You are already enough. And to trust the present moment. And you're always getting what you need here in this present moment. And to just trust yourself. There's a creed that says, trust yourself, expect the best, and always increase your energy. So always expanding your positive energy. That's what comes through for me right now.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, we're going to close this, wrap this up a little bit, and then I'll meet you back in the virtual green room so that we can have a chat with the members of the community .momondays.com. But I want to thank everybody for being part of this, and I just love doing this. Every month we bring on a different guest, and as you could see, I very often pick people who are my favorites. Well, why not? Because Keith is just an amazing guy. You have given me personally such a good reminder on the need for mindfulness, and we can never hear that enough. You are enough.
Mm-hmm.
So
you're already enough. Hey, you're very welcome. Thanks, Michelle. This has been so much fun hanging out with you here.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for watching. You come back next month. We have another great guest.